Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is leading aircraft woman Taylor Clark. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Please sit if you can do so. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Sarn Singh. Sarn Singh was born in Julindar, Punjab, India, around 1870. While little is known about his early life, he is known to have had at least one brother and was married to Partrap Kaur in Julindar before migrating to Australia. Singh settled in the town of Maggia in the Murray-Mallee region of South Australia, where he worked as a farmer. Singh enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 15th of May, 1916. He gave his age as 33 on enlistment, but is believed to have been closer to 38 or 39 when he joined. He was allocated to a depot battalion with the rank of private while waiting to be assigned to a battalion. After several months of training in South Australia, Singh embarked from Adelaide on board the troop ship Ballarat on the 12th of August. Private Singh arrived in England at the end of September in 1916. He was assigned to the 43rd Battalion before joining his unit on the Western Front in mid-October. The battalion was serving around the European salient, where Singh's arrival marked the onset of the infamously brutal winter of 1916 and 1917. Singh was briefly hospitalised with inflamed feet, possibly a bout of trench foot caused by the extreme conditions. Singh's first major action with his battalion was the Battle of Messines in June 1917. The Allied objective was to capture the German-occupied high ground along the Messines Ridge, which was been fortified with multiple defensive positions. The high ground gave the enemy a strategic vantage point from which to observe Allied lines, making an advance treacherous. In the early hours of the morning on the 7th of June, 19 mines laid beneath German positions were detonated, signalling the beginning of the battle. Troops were sent across no man's land under cover of artillery and machine gun fire. Singh's battalion was kept in reserve, detailed with carrying food, ammunition, and other supplies to units in the front line. On the 10th of June, Singh and his battalion moved into the front lines, taking over from the 44th Battalion. Nearing the final phases of the battle, the 43rd Battalion was given orders to take its objectives under the cover of darkness. Before Singh and his comrades could make any ground, the enemy, who had likely seen their approach, unleashed a hail of artillery fire on their positions, causing mass casualties to the members of the 43rd and 44th Battalions. During the chaos, Private Sarn Singh was killed in action. The 43rd Battalion fought on until the 12th of June, by which time had sustained almost 150 casualties in just 2 days. News of Singh's death reached his wife and mother in India. They were overcome by their loss. Singh's wife, Patrop, wrote to base records in Melbourne to plead for information about his death and the possibility of obtaining a pension, saying, "Sarn died on the 10th of June 1917 at France. Words fail to express my mournful feelings and my miserable condition, and hence I therefore see no one else except you who may do me any kind of favour for supporting my life, as well as saving my virtue. It may have been much better if I might have died before my husband did." In Maggia, South Australia, Singh's friends paid tribute to him in the local newspaper, saying, "A memory prized is more than gold, and this brave soldier's worth cannot be told." Sarn Singh's body was never recovered from the battlefield. Today he is commemorated in the Menin Gate Memorial to the Missing, one of more than 54,000 Commonwealth soldiers who have no known grave. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died serving the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Sarn Singh, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in hope of a better world.
Please stand for the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. And at the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening.